Good morning, Jumani. Good morning to the whole Channel 5 family and to Tobago. It's a pleasure to be here. I choose sport. Well, of course, conceptualized by me. I take real pride in just going out, listening to the people and trying to respond to what they said they want. You know, I think the people speak very clearly and sometimes we don't listen well enough. But most of the programs created, or all the programs I've created during my tenure as minister, whether it's in tourism or Ministry of Youth or Ministry of Sport and Community Development, I've conceptualized based on the feedback from people. And what I found is that sport in schools is under Ministry of Education. But when I became Minister of Sport in 2018 and I went to the big sports, as you call it, National Track and Field Championship, I recognized the turnout was just so poor. And I returned to the office saying, well, how could we improve that? Because that's not what I'm accustomed to in Tobago. And they said, ma'am, sport in schools is under Ministry of Education. That's not your responsibility. Go check the Gazette. When I check the Gazette, I'm responsible for sport for adults. I said, no, you expected me to work some kind of magic, because you have to start young if you want different results. You have to make sport a part of our culture. And I felt like it was important to have a coordinated effort and intervention at the school level. So I partnered with the Ministry of Education and they allowed us access to the schools. All the schools are not on board because, you know, the principals also have their own ideas. In Trinidad and Tobago, and I think for most Caribbean countries, sport in schools is under Ministry of Education, and the principal has the freedom to say just how much sport he or she allows the school to get involved in. And there are still some old school teachers, old school principals who think that sport is a kickback. So we're saying, I choose sport because a student athlete is a better student. There's so many characteristics and values that you can learn through sport, and that would even help that student to become a better student. Discipline, networking, team building, even as it relates to your health, the exercise and so on, get the blood pumping, the brain working better. So it's about encouraging students to get involved in sport, encouraging parents to keep them in sport, because oftentimes when you get to exam time, we pull the children away from sport. Right. So it's just generating a whole culture of sport and encouraging Trinidad and Tobago at all levels to choose sport.
I just want to get an idea of the format of the series or the initiative. So firstly, how schools are chosen, and the speakers or the athletes who would be present at these sessions. Okay. What would they be doing? Is a question and answer format? Yeah. Just give us an idea in terms of the structure of it.
Well, we ran a pilot last June, right before the end of the school year, when schools were a little more free to get involved. And what we do is we take elite athletes and even other high-performance athletes to the school so that they can share their story as to how they balance school alongside athletics. They introduce their sport to the schools. It's not only about the caravan going from school to school, it's supporting schools' sporting program also, because right now we have schools signed up for volleyball, so we're helping to look for volleyball coaches to support them in their initiative. It's all about having conversation also with parents, teachers associations, different discussions, platforms, and encouraging all the national governing bodies to have a development program where they give back, where they participate or drive some kind of sporting program for schools. So let's say you have, like RSS Phoenix over here in Tobago, they work with Roxborough Sec. When we went to Scarborough Sec, Baby and them worked with us in Scarborough Sec. You know, so if you're in a community and you have a sports club, we are trying to make that link so that the student athletes in that area can access that club. For the parents who can't afford it, we're offering to offer support to the club so they can accept more students and have more well-trained coaches and so on.
Right, so the National Sport Mentorship Ambassador Program incorporates that aspect you just spoke about, or is it?
Yeah, so there is some mentorship. So the athletes who show great promise, who are going to participate in CARIFTA and so on, and even through the national governing bodies like N3ATT, we have like experienced athletes going in, talking, having one-on-one with the youngsters and so on.
Okay, and these athletes are selected how?
The athletes, we first called upon those who would have medaled at regional and international games, and then we just issued an open call. If you're an athlete and you want to give back, we opened and allowed them from mid-February to the 1st of March to just submit their names and say why they want to participate, and we bring them right on board. Of course, we pay them a little stipend every appearance they make, so it helps to keep the thing going, and it helps to get. We have about 220 something athletes who've signed up so far.
That's good news. That's good news. But I was thinking, so you mentioned the pilot project, but is it going to be a term thing? Or how are we to expect more initiatives like this?
Oh no, this is it. This is what we are doing. We've learned from the Jamaican model, and Tobago. You've seen some advantage in Tobago based on the Jamaican model being practiced in Tobago much earlier than in Trinidad. A couple of years ago, Jomo Pitt brought in G.C. Foster to train PE teachers and train technical persons on the ground, and now these persons are in schools, and you can see the results. Tobago top secondary school track and field competition this year. I think it was first, second, third in the categories. So you're seeing great promise, and it's always good to run a pilot project in Tobago. It's a smaller population. I believe that we are more in tune with each other and offer that support. We want the best for our community, and I think it's less of a fight now.
But what about the interests of the Tobago schools, though?
The Tobago schools, of course, we wrote last year, June, to education. Sport TT reached out to education asking to at least enter Scarborough Secondary School, Signal Hill Secondary School, Bishop's High School, Roxborough, and Mason Hall in the first cycle. We haven't gotten a response as yet, so we're writing again, asking just to be able to engage if the Tobago schools can come on board. Also, there are schools that have already reached out to us, but of course we want the blessing of the principals, we want the blessing of the assembly, and so on. Yeah.
All right, so I'm asking about these schools to be equipped with the necessary coaches to bring these children up
right.
to
Now,
international.
of course, if there are so many schools in Trinidad and Tobago, hundreds of schools, if everybody's school so we want a coach, then that's going to be some problems. So what we're trying to do is make sure, in the same way people like Baby and Gerald Franklin, and they reached out to us in Scarborough Sec, and what RSS Phoenix is already doing for schools like Roxborough. You have Zenith on the ground also doing great work in Tobago, is really strengthen their connection with schools and offer assistance through like a small stipend to help them. I mean, the program is still being built based on needs, because you will go to some schools and they don't need a coach. They already have a system. That school may need uniforms for its athletes, or may need some other type of equipment to assist them. But we try to see how much we can touch and make that intervention, especially with the promising athletes who are looking like they are going to make Carifta Games, they are going to make Pan Am, you know.
Very good. All right. I don't want to shy a little bit, but I must ask you while you're here. Obviously, Olympics is in August,
Yeah.
July
26th,
All right.
August 11th.
And of course, our teams are getting ready in the varying disciplines.
Yes.
The national, I want to ask about the Ministry of Sports and its role in supporting these athletes going out there.
Yeah. We provide support every time, whether it's CAC Games, Carifta Games. Like for Carifta, we've already approved about $1.2 million. Some is going to go to athletics and some to swimming for Carifta Games. And for the TTOC, we're supporting to the tune of $1.5 million this year. Each year we support, and it's usually in those amounts, whether it's Pan Am Games, CAC Games, Commonwealth Games. You can always count on the support coming from the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. It's the least we can do. These athletes dedicated to their craft. They've been practicing and training and waiting for these moments, and we contribute to their development programs and contribute to them getting out there and showing the rest of the world what Trinidad and Tobago is really made of.
The Olympics, obviously last year we had for the first time Tobagonians made up the team for Olympics, the last Olympics rather, and we did well, the guy from Belgarden and so on. For those athletes who are to be trials from Tobago, have they reached out to the ministry? What is the situation with those athletes in Tobago that needs whatever support?
Well, I know in Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly has a grant program. They also have the Lalonde Gordon Fund, so I know they support athletes through those areas. Through those programs, we have elite athlete funding on the national level. The call is already out for elite athletes to apply. It started in early January and it closes on April 1st. So the time is still open for elite athletes to apply. We are supporting athletes when they apply. We provide the necessary support to the best of our ability, and we haven't had a problem since. Really.
All right, so just to encourage people, let's say their parents are listening now, and the sports in school, how can they be a part of it? What do they need to do?
Well, of course, it would be through their school.
Okay.
Yeah. So school programs, schools can organize themselves to reach out to apply. Also, and to just get in touch with the Ministry of Sport or Sport TT, and we would work with them from there on. Interestingly, there are some schools where you have teachers and principals still standing in the way. Like for instance, I was chatting with a group that's supporting a school, and it's a school in Tobago, and the principal is standing in the way in getting the access to the account. So the entity is telling me, even if you give us the funds, we won't have access to it because it will have to go to the school account, and we don't know if the principal would pass the money on to the club after. So yes, so there are schools like that. There are schools, I think there are schools in Trinidad even like that too. Where you have principals that think, well, okay, money spent on sport could be better spent on academics, but it's amazing to see how children do better after getting involved in sport. I've seen where youngsters said they used to procrastinate a lot, and now that they're involved in sport, they are now so scheduled that before they would procrastinate and waste away their study time thinking, I have more time, I'll do it tomorrow, that now they've learned a discipline to schedule themselves. So they schedule in studies now. Yeah, so they're swimming and they're studying and performing well. And what we've learned from the Jamaica model, because we're working hand in hand with a school program with the government of Jamaica, we're signing a memorandum of understanding later in the year. And in order to participate in champs in Jamaica, you have to have good grades. If you don't have good grades, don't care how good of a runner you are, you cannot participate.
Excellent. Minister, we have come to the end of the program. And I really miss cup of tea this morning. We're not going to have.
Yeah, me too. I love cup of tea.
You love cup of tea?
Yes, I really love cup of tea. We want that cup of tea.
Yes.
Channel 5.
Thank you for being here, and we wish you all the best. And I'm glad that you pushing this
My
initiative.
absolute pleasure.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cox.